Hi Joggies, welcome to another episode of Study with Mr. K. This is on climate topic 2. Right, let us now go straight into the climate topic 2. We talk about why is there climate change. Okay, so this whole topic is about climate change, and it talks about the why, and it talks about the impacts as well. Okay, let us now so this is the why, and this is the impacts. Okay, let us now go into the why part. The why portion, we are talking about two things. Okay, for 2.1, we are looking at the 2.1 is looking at the natural processes that cause climate change. Okay, natural processes that cause climate change. Let's go into that now. Okay, for natural processes that cause climate change, we need to understand that climate change is not a one-day thing. Okay, it has been happening. The climate naturally in its natural form will change. Okay, and therefore, it is very natural for the Earth's climate to change, and this has changed over geological time. Okay, and that is we are talking about how do we understand the past climates of the Earth. It is by this is evidenced by two things. Okay, first of all, the oxygen isotopes. Okay, what about the oxygen isotopes that you need to understand is that there are actually the oxygen isotope, which is oxygen 16 isotope, okay, and oxygen 18 isotope. One is the light oxygen isotope, which signifies that the Earth's climate is warmer, and the 18, which is the heavy oxygen isotope, which signifies that the climate is cooler. So with that in mind, there are variation in the past 650,000 years, and this is known as the natural variability of the Earth's climate, right? Next, we look at how has Earth's climate zones changed. In the Earth's climate zones, which I have shown in topic 1, it has actually changed when the Earth experienced cooler temperatures. For example, there's the glacial periods whereby large ice sheets will form over continents near the Arctic oceans, and there is a transition from glacial to interglacial period. Okay, so let me just show you the where is my Chrome? My Chrome is shut down. Okay, let's look at the Chrome, and let us just look at the climate of the Earth through time. Okay, so you can see over here, maybe let's look at this. Let's see whether we can understand this. Nope. Oh, we could. See, there are many you can see that the Earth goes through cyclical periods of different periods of time. whereby they are cooler than now, whereby they are hotter than now. So you can see that we are actually at the peak of our current temperature is actually at the peak, but we may also be creating more peaks, okay, in this period of time, right? So you can see that it is important to note that it is a natural process for climate change to happen, right? There are rising sea surface and air temperatures, okay, and the tropical regions are actually expanding in coverage across the earth right now, okay. So we're going to go straight into what are some of the natural causes, okay, natural causes, natural processes, and we are going to look into, just give me a moment. Okay, we're going to look into the first factor, okay, which is firstly changes in Earth's orbit and angle of tilt. Okay, so there are two parts to this, right? The Earth's orbit and the angle of tilt. There are cycles. Okay, so let us now talk about orbit. The orbit shape, okay, changes every 100,000 years. What does it mean? Every 100,000 years, the way the Earth's orbit around the sun will change. Okay, so let's say this is the sun, and this is the different orbits. Okay, so let's call them A and B. Orbit B is around the sun. Orbit A is elliptical shape. Okay, orbit B is a circular shape, right? So when the Earth's orbit is the most elliptical or elliptic, the Earth will travel in a more oval shape. This is oval, and more radiation will reach Earth when Earth is somewhere here. Here, X. This is whereby the Earth will receive more radiation, and when they are furthest, they'll receive less radiation. Okay, and this happens every 10,000 years. On the other hand, the tilt itself, okay, we all know that it is 23.5 degrees, right? However, there is actually changes between the tilt, and the tilt can change from between 21.5 to 24.5 degrees Celsius. Alright, and this happens every 41,000 years. If you were to ask me why, I do not know. Okay, why is there a cycle? But I always believe that when we learn geography, there's always a cycle. Even in today's economy, there will always be a cycle. There will always be ups, there will always be down, right? So it just happens, okay? And can science explain this? I hope they could. I think they can. So please ask your physics teacher, right? So basically what you need to know geographically is that when the tilt decrease, okay, when the tilt decrease, the different hemispheres will lean further away, and this will lead to warmer winters and cooler summers. Alright, and on the other hand, when the tilt increased, it will be that the hemisphere is nearer, right? Okay, and that will lead to cooler winters and warmer summers. So there is every 41,000 years there is a variation in terms of the tilt. Right? Next, we talk about sunspot. Okay, sunspot is a pretty easy concept, so I will not talk too much about it. When there is higher sunspots, right, there will be higher solar radiation. That is basically the relationship. Okay, higher sunspots, higher solar radiation. Why is that so? Sunspots are basically areas. These are sunspots, they are dark. They are just spots in the sun, whereby this is low temperature. However, the surrounding areas will actually radiate higher temperature. So when there are more of these, okay, what does it mean? It means that generally when there are more sunspots, there will be more solar radiation, because when there are more sunspots, okay, the area beside the sunspot will emit higher amount of temperature, and this is in a 11 years cycle. Every 11 years there will be a cycle. Alright, and yeah. And thirdly, volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruptions are natural processes, right? While you did not learn about tectonics, but large-scale volcanic eruptions will actually cause temperature to decrease. Why is that so? Because the volcanic clouds, which is formed by volcanic ashes, okay, will actually cover the atmosphere. Okay, what does it mean? It actually means two things. Firstly, there is more reflection of solar radiation. Secondly, it also means it actually also means less solar radiation reaches the Earth's surface. So it acts like a protective layer, like an extra ozone layer sort of thing, right? So that is the natural processes that we talk about. And these volcanic eruptions also at the same time causes an increase in greenhouse gases. Okay, greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, dust and air, and all this will actually all these particles actually absorb and reflect solar energy. Okay, and thus these actually all will lead to a lower temperature of the Earth, and that is a natural process. Okay, so that is for 2.1. Okay, so now we are done with natural process. Okay, for 2.2, we are talking about anthropogenic factors. Okay, for anthropogenic factors, sorry, let me just do it nicely. Anthropogenic factors, basically they are human causes, right? And anthropogenic causes, we talk about how it has, before we look into the factors of industrialization and population growth or burning of fossil fuels, changing land use, so on and so forth, we talk about um, greenhouse gases. Okay, we need to know. Okay, everyone, please take note. You need to know what is greenhouse effect. You need to know. Okay, please know the steps. Step 1 all the way to step 5. Okay, basically this is natural. However, there is an enhanced greenhouse effect. That is when more greenhouse gases are being produced by humans. That is why we have the enhanced greenhouse effect. Alright, so that is that. Please know what is long wave, what is short wave. Please, you have done this in lower sec, so I will not go through that. Okay, so what are the anthropogenic factors that we are looking at? Firstly, okay, we are talking about how there is what are the causes? Okay, what are the causes of this enhanced greenhouse effect? Firstly, it is the burning of fossil fuel. Right, the burning of fossil fuels actually releases high carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. Okay, greenhouse gas. And these actually, why do we burn fossil fuel? Because it's for industrialization. Okay, it is due to for human activities. Okay, for powering of by providing electricity, so on and so forth. Okay, next we are talking about changing land use. Okay, changing land use. Changing land use. Okay, for changing land use, there are quite a number of things for changing land use. Okay, we can talk about 3 things. Firstly, agriculture. Second, industries. And last but not least, urbanization. Right? And for agriculture, there is a huge amount of deforestation. And deforestation, it is not just about the deforestation, we are looking at the increase of carbon dioxide. Okay, because trees are very good carbon sinks, right? And there's large scale removal. So you need to understand that deforestation is very, very detrimental, and it contributes to the increase of greenhouse gases, right? So yeah, okay, just give me a moment, start again. Okay, so that's deforestation. And then we talk about agriculture, we talk about population growth. Okay, because of population growth, agriculture's there is a need for space for agriculture, therefore deforestation happen, right? And population growth is a major thing that actually generates a big increase in agriculture farming. Agriculture is not just plants, they consider animals farming. Animal farming is also considered your beef, your chicken, your meat, so on and so forth, right? Then you have your industries, because industries, machineries need energy. Okay, and urbanization, you can talk about in cities, fossil fuels are being burned to to power the high concentration of vehicles. Cities consume about 78% of the world's energy. So it's pretty scary, isn't it? Right? So all these causes, all these anthropogenic causes, okay, are actually quite important. So please look through them. Okay. A question may ask 2.1 and 2.2, right? Versus, is it anthropogenic or is it natural processes? Right? Which one is most important? Or which one cause more variation or cause climate change more? Right? So those are very important things. Okay, let's now go into impacts. Okay, the impacts, there are two different types of impacts. We're going to look into 2.3, okay, 2.3, which is the natural system, the impacts of climate change on natural systems. Alright, so for natural systems, we are basically looking at few things that has been impacted. First of all, okay, there's an increase in atmospheric and ocean surface temperature. So basically, temperature has increased. Okay, temperature has definitely increased. You can see on the graph in your guidebook, it has increased, and it increases in relation to CO2 emission, and that is one of the major greenhouse gases, right? And why is that so? Because most of the heat are trapped by greenhouse gases is absorbed by ocean. Okay, so ocean and air temperature, they work similarly. Alright, the average temperature of oceans have been increasing, and what will that cause? Later on, we'll talk about the impacts. Okay. Secondly, what has happened in the natural system is there are changes to ocean circulation. Okay. Ocean circulation is a very important flow that is happening at the sea level. These are large-scale movement of water, and usually what happens is that warm water will flow to the colder water in the poles, right? So warmer water will be at the tropical, they will flow from the equator to the poles. Then it cools and becomes denser and it sinks, and then this cold water is spread along the bottom of the ocean, right? So what happened is that the climate change is actually slowing down. Okay, climate change has slowed down ocean circulation. Why is that so? Okay, water at the surface gains heat due to rising atmospheric temperature and become less dense, and the sinking water at the poles is then reduced, which slow down the flow of water. So basically what happens is that water that's being at the surface is gaining heat faster. Water at the surface, right? And at the same time, therefore becoming less dense. And at the same time, on the other hand, the water at the poles, okay, is being reduced. The temperature is being reduced and less dense, and therefore the flow has become slower. Right. So why is that? What determines the strength of this ocean circulation? The strength of ocean circulation is caused by the big temperature difference between the warm water and cold water. Temperature difference. However, right now this temperature difference over here is being closed up. Okay, okay, when there is a lesser temperature difference, the flow, okay, will become slower. It's the same concept of pressure gradient in wind. Okay, what determines the strength of a wind is when the wind is strong, is when there is the pressure gradient between 2 points are great, are high. But if it is not very high, the wind that's being created, the strength of the wind will decrease. Alright, so that is for ocean circulation. Third, okay, we talk about the changes in precipitation. There's changes in precipitation. Okay, changes in precipitation. So what happens? Wet areas are getting wetter, right? Dry areas are getting drier. Okay, and what is happening for this excessive rainfall? So when there is what causes rainfall? Okay, it is because of air temperature, right? When air temperature increase, it actually leads to excessive rainfall, right? And on the other hand, okay, when it is already dry, but there is actually higher temperature, it makes the dry area dry. Even it makes the dry area even drier because of high temperature. So what will that lead to? It will lead to droughts. This is learned in your Sec 1, right? So I will not touch too much on that. So what then, okay, are the impacts? So this is what is happening, okay, the what part. So what then is the impact? The impact is detrimental. Okay, first of all, we talk about the impact for the aquatic ecosystem. Okay, the aquatic ecosystems. Okay, the impact for the aquatic ecosystems is, firstly, there is going to be a threat to coral reefs. And when there is a threat to coral reefs, we are talking about coral reefs that are being very fragile and vulnerable. Are they important to us? Yes, they are very important to us. Why is that so? Because these corals, when they die, okay, entire ecosystems that actually depend on coral, such as the shark, the clownfish, there are many organisms in the sea that depends on coral reefs, right? So what happens is that there is coral bleaching. Okay, what is coral bleaching? It is when there is an increase in temperature, in ocean temperature, which causes algae, to live. Okay, it causes algae to leave these coral reefs, and these coral reefs will then turn white. That's why it's called bleaching. Okay, that's why it's called bleaching. Okay, you can look at the relationship between algae and corals. It's very fascinating. They have something called the what I call it, symbiotic relationship. This is actually more of a bio term, but nevertheless symbiotic. Okay, so that means they are dependent on each other, because algae are the coral reefs' primary food source, and it gives them their color, right? So without algae, coral reefs won't have color and they won't have food, right? And the corals will then lose these algae because of ocean temperature rising, and they turn white. And when they turn white, they are very, very vulnerable to diseases. Okay, what are we talking about? We are talking about coral reefs as habitats, as I mentioned just now, as food sources. Okay, population of other species that is dependent on them will lose. The entire ecosystem will be affected and lost. Okay, Great Barrier Reefs was very affected, right? Yeah. So that's that. Second, we talk about ocean acidification. Okay, for ocean acidification, as the name suggests, what happened is that oceans are actually very important carbon sinks. Okay, and why is that so? Okay, there is a certain species called the phytoplankton, which absorbs carbon dioxide as they dissolve, and this is through photosynthesis. And when there is an increase in carbon dioxide emissions, okay, these photoplanktons will absorb more carbon dioxide, and this actually leads to carbonic acid to be forming at the oceans. Okay, and the oceans will become more acidic. And when it becomes more acidic, okay, when the ocean becomes more acidic, it actually starts to dissolve certain minerals such as calcium carbonate. Okay, and this calcium dissolves through calcium carbonate, and these calcium carbonate are so important for organisms such as corals, mussels, oysters to form their skeletons and shells. And with that in mind, coral reefs are being eroded, right? So it actually is another threat to coral reefs, right? So yeah, so that's ocean acidification. Next, we talk about the disruption to marine food webs or food chain, you can call it. There's a huge disruption, okay, because of the slowing down of ocean circulation. Okay, that actually means that warm surface water mixed less with cooler, deeper water, and these actually separates the near surface aquatic life such as photoplanktons from the nutrients below, causing a drop in photoplanktons. So it disrupts food chains, it disrupts the location of certain aquatic lives, some such as photoplanktons, okay, and it disrupts fishes that feeds on these photoplanktons, right? So you can see that there is going to be a changes, okay, in the food webs. And the increase in ocean surface temperature also meant geographically fishes are going to migrate. There will be another distribution of aquatic species. Okay, there will be changes in the ecosystems will change, right? Because geographically fishes are going to migrate to other places. Okay, there will be changes in the geographical distribution of aquatic species. Like for example, the tropic fishes will now move upwards into the mid latitudes. Okay, and the mid latitudes they may move upwards towards the poles, and these will cause a decrease. All these will cause a decrease in species in the tropical region, okay, and an increase in species in the pole regions. Right, that is an impact. And also at the same time, like I mentioned just now, on the ecosystem, some of these species, they are being redistributed, alright, will affect ecosystem. The ecosystem contains prey and predator. The prey and the predators. And these will actually change the amount of prey and predators in an ecosystem, and then it may also cause some form of extinction. It may cause some form of inability to adapt to certain places, just like asking Singaporeans suddenly move forwards, move to a cold country. You may not be able to adapt immediately. Likewise for fishes, right? So that is that. Okay, so this is for aquatic ecosystem. Next, we look into the terrestrial ecosystem. Okay, for terrestrial ecosystem, it is on land. What happens is that there is actually firstly a threat to our F&F, flora, fauna, right? They may threaten in many ways. There will be changes geographically again. There will be a geographical distribution of species moving to different places. Temperate forests are moving, right? Species are moving. And then these will actually cause changes in the composition. Okay, composition will change of ecosystem will change, right? And the ecosystem, when the ecosystem change, food webs are affected. What are some of these changes? Some species will decline because they can't find anywhere to go to. Some will face tougher competition, some will face lesser competition. So it really threatens and disrupts quite a number of things in the ecosystem, right? And with that in mind, we also have to talk about the impacts of droughts. Just now we talked about droughts, right? Okay, droughts that's happening. Okay, over here we talk about droughts. Where's the drought? Here, drier area becoming drier. So you talk about droughts. Droughts may even further force species to move to new locations because drier areas are becoming drier, wetter areas are becoming even wetter. So droughts and excessive rain will cause destruction, or it threatens, okay, the survival of many animals, species, biodiversity, so on and so forth. Please go and read up on this. Okay, so that is on 2.3. Next, we talk so much about the natural system, right? 2.3. Now let us now go to 2.4. Okay, so just now we talked about natural system. Now we're going to talk about the human system. Okay, human systems are also very much affected, right? There are two things that we can talk about. There are direct impact, there are indirect impact. Okay, direct, indirect, right? So there are direct impacts that we are looking at. The direct impacts could be because of many factors. So let us now talk about the direct impacts. Okay, so the direct impacts will cause climate change to have more severe. Firstly, frequent and severe heat waves. Okay, what are direct impact? People can die from these heat waves. People can get heat stroke. People, yeah. I'm not sure whether you read the news. There are many people dying from this. Okay, and that is climate. Then that is how one of the direct impacts it can do. Next, we talk about droughts. Okay, there is also direct impact. Please go and look through it. What will happen? Okay, shortage of clean water. People may become displaced. So when the place become too dry, animals can go. Humans need to go as well, right? So yep. And then another thing would then be wildfires. Okay, there will be suffocation, injuries, burns, so on and so forth. So they are unplanned, uncontrolled. This is natural, right? And then of course there will be floods as well. Okay, floods will cause loss of human lives, food and water supplies being affected, waterborne diseases, so on and so forth, right? So that is that. And then of course we have tropical cyclones. You may not have learned about tropical cyclones, but you would have heard of what they can do. Tropical cyclones, they are accompanied by strong winds, heavy rainfall, and storm surges. They can actually destroy cities. It is just as powerful as earthquake, right? And it can destroy buildings, crops, economic losses, so much impact, and these are very direct. So please take note of the examples. Okay, for indirect causes, we're looking at quite a number of things. Okay, indirectly we're looking at how some of the ecosystem services are being affected. Okay, so we look at the provisioning first. Okay, the provisioning ecosystem services. Okay, fish production. There will be an impact on fish production because of warmer oceans and sea level rise. Warmer oceans, that means species will migrate, species will be redistributed, so it affects the fisherman's catch. On the other hand, okay, warmer oceans, and on the other hand, sea level will rise as well. When sea level increases or rise, salt water actually enters freshwater, and it threatens freshwater fisheries. So at the end of the day, it does affect quite a number of things, right? It actually affects the economic lifestyle of fish, of human. Okay, it affects food security. Okay, these are the impact. Okay, it can cause food insecurity. Okay, and yeah. Okay, next we talk about crop yields. Okay, for crop yields, while there are more frequent extreme weather events, it make it more difficult for crop yields to be produced. There's a lot of destruction, the droughts, the fire, the tropical cyclones. Farms are being destroyed every year, and crop yields will decrease tremendously, right? That's for provisioning. For regulating ecosystem, okay, there will be an increase in vector-borne diseases. Okay, because there will be mosquitoes that was once not possible. Now as places become warmer, it became possible for mosquitoes to be bred, such as Bhutan, right? It can lead to more people being sick, it can lead to loss of lives. That's the impact. Okay, so look at the examples, be sure you know them. Okay, and for the cultural ecosystem, okay, services, what happens is that firstly there is the melting of Arctic ice. Okay, and this actually changes the practices of people living in Arctic. It may also degrade natural landscapes. What does it mean? Sea level rise will cause low-lying islands like Maldives to be destroyed, to be inhabitable. Alright? So natural landscapes are being degraded, they are being changed. Alright, so it is always very interconnected. Okay, hopefully I've summarized everything. Okay, this chapter is quite interesting. Okay, where are the possible 9 marks question? Here there's one possible 9 marks question, 2.1 and 2.2. Another interesting question that I've not been asked before would then be, who is more affected? Who is more affected? Who is more affected or impacted? Is it the human versus nature for climate change? Okay, there is another 9 marks question that you can try to answer. Okay, that's all for topic 2. I know it's a pretty long, but I hope you have understand every small little concept. Make sure you go through the examples. That's all. Please like and subscribe. Bye.